Well, my goodness, is it that time again already? Time for a visit to Grammie's Book Nook? I'm glad I looked at the clock. Today, I thought we would just hang out with Lucy and Bobby again. I have a nice little book here. We're going to take 3 days to read it. So we're going to read about 23 or 24 pages each day until we get to the end of the little book. And because this is a chapter book and not a picture book, it doesn't have pictures to show. So we all have to just close our eyes and try to imagine inside of our heads what things look like and how things sound. It's a good exercise for stretching your imagination. So if everybody's ready, I'm going to open the book. It's written by Ilene Cooper, by the way, who writes all of the books about this cute little puppy Lucy. So I need to be getting ready by putting my glasses on. So this book is called Lucy on the Loose. Lucy was Bobby Quinn's dog. She was a great dog. She was a beagle. She was white and brown with black spots. Her eyes were soft and dark. Do you remember what they looked like from our last time we described Lucy in a different book? I bet you do. They were like chocolate candy. Lucy liked to jump, and she liked to run. In fact, she loved to run. Lucy loved running up to people, and she thought that everyone was her friend. If you remember right, Bobby was very shy. Meeting new people made his heart pound fast, and his face got red, and even his ears got red, even at the very thought of meeting new people. But Bobby wasn't so shy when he was with Lucy. She helped Bobby make new friends. Sean was a friend, and he was a friend just because of Lucy. Lucy helped him make a friend with Sean. He was the boy that moved into the house across the street. He had only been there for a little while, since the summertime. At first, Bobby was afraid to go across the street and say hello, but Lucy wasn't a bit afraid. So she pulled Bobby right along over to the house to say hello. Sean was shy too, just like Bobby. But Bobby and Sean weren't shy with each other. They played ball, they drew cartoons, and they spent lots of time chasing Lucy. Lucy loved to run in circles all around Bobby's big backyard. The boys tried to catch her, but Lucy always tried to get away, and she was very successful. Fast Lucy slipped right between their legs. Slippery Lucy wiggled out of their grasp, and then she'd run around some more. Bobby and Sean just laughed and laughed. It was hard to keep up with Lucy. One day, Sean came over to Bobby's house. Bobby was swinging in the hammock, and Lucy was curled up at his feet. Summer was almost over, but it was still hot. "Hey, Bobby. Hey, Lucy," Sean said. "What's up?" "Oh, hi, Sean," Bobby greeted his friend, and Lucy looked up and gave a happy bark. "You want to go get some comic books?" Sean asked. Bobby sat up. Lucy sat up too. "Absolutely," he said. Absolutely was Bobby's favorite word. Bobby liked to draw. He used comic books to practice drawing his own superheroes. Bobby ran inside. He asked his mother if he could go to Sean up to the Bilo store on Main Street. I absolutely really need some new comic books," Bobby told his mother. Mrs. Quinn laughed. "Oh, really?" she said. "Then I guess you should go." "And can I take Lucy?" he asked. "All All right, Mrs. Quinn said, but hold on to her. You know how Lucy likes to tug on her leash. Okay, Bobby said. He thought his mother worried too much. He knew how to take care of Lucy. Mrs. Quinn gave Bobby some money for comics, and Bobby raced back outside. Lucy was standing with her paws on the fence. She was barking short, hard barks. What's wrong? Bobby asked Sean. Oh, it's that cat, Sean said. What cat? Bobby asked. Sean pointed. On the sidewalk there was a big orange cat. In fact, he was an enormously huge orange cat. The cat was licking his paws and swinging his long tail. The cat ignored Lucy, and that made Lucy bark harder. Oh, just calm down, Lucy, Bobby said. That cat's not bothering you. Bobby led Lucy away from the fence. He patted Lucy's head as he snapped on her leash. Lucy's warm tongue gave Bobby's hand a lick, but her eyes were on that big orange cat. Bobby, Sean, and Lucy walked past the big yellow house on the corner. That was where Mr. Davis lived. Mr. Davis was another friend Bobby had made with Lucy's help. Bobby used to be scared of Mr. Davis. He thought that maybe Mr. Davis was just a grumpy old man. But Mr. Davis actually turned out to be very nice. He loved puttering around in his garden. Hi, boys, he said. He clipped a rose from a rose bush, and Lucy barked a hello. That's my girl, Mr. Davis said. We're going to get some comics, Bobby told him. Do you mind if I come along, Mr. Davis asked. I could really use some exercise. Mr. Davis walked slowly, but Sean and Bobby didn't mind. Mr. Davis always had lots of interesting stories to tell, and today he told the boys about growing up listening to radio shows. There was no television when Mr. Davis was a boy. Bobby and Sean just couldn't imagine a time without television. Even Lucy liked to watch TV, if there were shows on about dogs, that is. Oh, there were great shows when I was a little boy, Mr. Davis said. The Lone Ranger was my favorite. He was a cowboy. He wore a black mask over his eyes, and he rode a horse named Silver. The Lone Ranger, Bobby said softly. He liked the sound of that. The Lone Ranger and Silver, that might be really fun to draw. Main Street was only 2 short blocks from Mr. Davis's house. Where do you buy your comics? Mr. Davis asked when they got to the corner of Main and First. Right here at the Bilo, Bobby said. Why don't I wait outside with Lucy? Mr. Davis suggested. Lucy yipped. She seemed to really like that idea. Mr. Davis sat down on a bench in front of the store, and Lucy got busy sniffing. She was sniffing the feet of all the people who walked by. The boys went into the Bilo. It sold all sorts of things. It sold everything from lipsticks to notebook paper. It was a big store, but it wasn't very busy today. Bobby and Sean hurried to the aisle where the comics were kept. Hey, Sean exclaimed, they're not here. A rack of ladies' stockings stood where the comics used to be. Bobby looked all around. Ugh, it looks like they moved a bunch of stuff, he said. Why did they have to go and do that? Well, let's check out the other aisles. Maybe we'll find them somewhere else in the store. The boys walked up one aisle, and then they walked down another. No comic books. The boys just looked at each other, and then Sean said, "Now what?" Bobby answered slowly, "Well, I suppose we could ask someone." Maybe Bobby was not as shy as he used to be, but talking to a salesperson, that still seemed really hard. "No," Sean said. "We'll find them on our own. Let's look around some more. Toothpaste, brushes, bags of candy, no comics, magazines, paper towels, tummy medicine, but still no comics." "Huh, stupid store," Sean muttered. A man wearing a name tag pinned to his bright blue jacket walked by. He worked in the store. Should I stop him, Bobby wondered. Bobby felt his stomach go up and down. The rest of him didn't make a move, but his stomach was flopping wildly. "Oh, he looked busy," Bobby muttered. "Yeah, he did," Sean agreed. Both of the boys were glum. "Oh, gee, I guess they just don't sell comic books anymore," Bobby said. "Stupid store," Sean repeated. The boys trudged toward the door. They were just about to leave when Bobby cried, "Hey, look!" There was a huge wire rack filled with comics right next to the checkout counter. Bobby and Sean ran over to the rack. Bobby picked out a Spider-Man comic. Sean took a Superman comic. "They're brand new ones," Sean said happily. "This store is okay after all." The boys went outside. Mr. Davis and Lucy were patiently waiting. "That took quite a while," Mr. Davis said. "Did you find the comics that you were looking for?" "Yes," Bobby said. He and Sean looked at each other. They were thinking the same thing. They almost didn't find the comics at all because they were both too shy to ask. "Mom, can Lucy and I go over to Sean's?" Bobby asked the next day. Mrs. Quinn settled down in the living room. She was enjoying her morning cup of coffee and her newspaper. "All right," she said, "but you be sure to keep Lucy on her leash. Sean's house doesn't have a fence around it, you know." Bobby knew. His mother reminded him about it every time he took Lucy over to Sean's house. She really did worry too much. Bobby pulled Lucy's leash out of his pocket and clipped it onto her collar. They had just crossed the street when Lucy jerked to a stop. She stood very still. Her nose was quivering. "What is it, girl?" Bobby asked. Lucy started to bark. She jumped up on her hind legs, and Bobby looked to where Lucy was pointing with her nose. "Oh, I knew it," he muttered. The cat was behind the big fir tree. Lucy tugged and pulled. Bobby held her leash tight. "Come on, Lucy," Bobby told her. "Just ignore that old cat. We're going over to Sean's." Lucy followed Bobby as he pulled her along, but she kept looking back. Bobby glanced back too. He knew cats couldn't smile, but this cat looked like it was grinning right at them. "I'm still here," the cat seemed to say. "What are you going to do about it?" Bobby forgot about the cat as soon as he got to Sean's house. Sean was sitting on his front steps. He was reading his new Superman comic. Bobby plunked down on the step next to Sean. "Is it a good comic?" he asked. "It's great," Sean said. Sean's little brother came up to the boys. "I want to look too. Let me look," Ben said. Go away, Ben, Sean said. Sean had an older sister and a younger brother. Bobby didn't have any brothers or sisters. He thought Sean was being a little mean. Ben, maybe there's a good show on TV, Bobby suggested. Yeah, Ben, go inside and watch TV and leave us alone, Sean said. No. N-O, said Ben. Ben was starting kindergarten in the fall, but he already was learning to spell. Sean shook his head. Fine then. All right, go ahead and stay, but you can't look at this comic book. Ben stuck out his lower lip. He plopped down on the grass next to Lucy. Lucy tried to make Ben feel better. She licked his cheek. Ben patted Lucy's back. That's good, Ben, Bobby said. You can play with Lucy. Lucy is a D-O-G, Ben spelled. Bobby laughed. You're right. D-O-G spells dog. L-U-C-Y spells Lucy. Ben repeated the letters carefully. L-U-C-Y. Oh, just don't be encouraging him, Sean said. He spells all the time. He's driving everybody crazy. Bobby looked down at the comic book. What's this one about? He asked Sean. Superman's trying to save an airplane, Sean told him. It's going to crash, see? Sean pointed at one of the pictures. He's keeping the airplane in the air with just one hand. Wow, how cool is that? Bobby said. He started reading the comic book over Sean's shoulder. You know, I could draw a Superman comic strip, he said. Oh, yeah? Sean said. He looked very impressed. Absolutely, Bobby said. Well, I've got some paper and markers in the house, Sean said. We can make up a comic strip for the Lone Ranger, too, Bobby said. That's a great idea, Sean said. Maybe Superman and the Lone Ranger can join forces. He jumped up. I'll be right back with the stuff. Sean called back to Bobby as he ran into the house. I'll be right back. Bobby started thinking about an adventure for the Lone Ranger and Superman. Maybe he could put Lucy in the comic strip, too. Lucy? Lucy? Where is Lucy? Bobby looked around for Lucy. Whew. She was playing with Ben. Ben tossed a stick, and Lucy brought it back, just like she learned in obedience school. Are you having fun with Lucy, Ben? Bobby called. Ben nodded. Yep. Does Lucy catch frisbees? Not yet, but we can teach her someday, Bobby said. She loves to run and catch stuff. Sean brought out the markers and paper. Bobby and Sean spread out on the front steps and they started drawing. Sean drew Superman flying through the air, and Bobby drew the Lone Ranger on his horse, Silver. Bobby grumbled. Drawing a horse isn't easy at all. Sean looked over at Bobby's drawing and chuckled. Silver looks more like a cow. Bobby had to laugh too. Yeah, I guess you're right. He kind of does look like a cow. Just then, Ben came running up to the boys. Bobby, Bobby, Ben stammered. What's wrong? Bobby asked, and he looked around. Hey, where's Lucy? Ben looked scared. Ben, Sean said, what happened to Lucy? Oh, she ran away, Ben said in a shaky voice. Bobby jumped up. Lucy ran away? Where? that way. Oh, Ben was just confused. He pointed in one direction, or maybe that way, and then he pointed in another direction. Well, which way is it? Sean demanded. I just don't know. I'm not sure. Ben was almost crying. But she was chasing a big orange C-A-T. Uh-oh. This is where we're going to stop for our reading today. I'm kind of excited to see what happens next. I know how bad Ben has to feel, and I know how worried Bobby is too. And I even understand how mad Sean is at his little brother Ben for not taking better care of Lucy. But we'll see what happens the next time we get together. But before we leave today, as usual, I have some special friends that I want to say hello to. And today, I want to say hello to two of my favorite sisters, Violet and Charlie. And I also want to say hello to Mikey. I hope you're doing well, Mikey. I know that you're a very good student. And I want to say hello to some special friends that are actually in my family. And they're Liam and Sean and Ryan and Julia and Lucas and Lily and Max. So if you are watching, I want you to throw me a kiss right now. I'm going to throw one to you. Are you ready? Here it comes. Mwah! I can't wait until I get to do that in person. So we're going to end for today, but before we go, we always end the same way. And it's our reminder about keeping our hands nice and clean, not touching our face, and being very careful about other people's space. So, everybody ready for our hand washing song? I hope so. Yesterday I washed my hands and I actually forgot to do this. Forgot to pull up my sleeves and everything was all soggy and wet and it didn't feel good at all. So, sleeves up. You ready? We're gonna wash those germs away, strong and healthy every day. We make wise choices so we stay well. We're gonna wash those germs away. We're gonna wash those germs away, strong and healthy every day. We make wise choices so we stay well. We're gonna wash those germs away. We make wise choices in every way. We're gonna wash those germs away. Alrighty, that's it for now. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time at Grammie's Book Nook.